Get Ipswich buses today. A single from only £1.20, a return from only £2. Find out more information at www.ipswichbuses.co.uk. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talking Town. Hello again, my friends, and welcome back to your half-time 10 minutes. I'm your host, and I am alongside the Milk Train Man, Ben Adams, and Curtis, the artist Yates. Town are currently losing 1-0 away at Sheffield Wednesday. Lots of comments coming in. Before I grab the thoughts of the contributors, as always, if you've not yet never seen our half-time 10 minutes, what we do is I ask the lads, one player that's played well, one player that hasn't played well, and any changes that you'd make. And Ben said to me before we came live, I'd make 10. Well, you can't make 10, I'm afraid, Ben, but let's see what you can do. Matt says, I do wonder if the wind isn't helping. Simon, well, that was deflating. Come on, you Blues. Aluko on for El Miz. Matt's done it again. Thought we got progressively worse in that half and tempted to go to sleep second half. We are so slow going forward, even my nan could get into position, Mike D. Can't listen to Matthew or Brenner. Had to change to home audio. I hear you there, Mike D. Paul Mays, nor would even pick it for Chapman today. Too many little flicks, not a game for those. Lee Anderson, KM will change it tactically at half time. Outnumbered in midfield. Burns at fault for the goal. And Emerson doesn't sound good, but the VPN, hang on, doesn't sound good. Got the VPN, but still couldn't access the video pass, says Emerson. Mike D. Burns and Ashian culprits for the goal. And Hawks, after it all, coming in from Eastleigh, first half sounded poor. Shite is the word I'd use, Hawks. So, one player that hasn't played well in that first time. Let's get that. No, actually, let's go for the player who has played well. It might be the easier one. Curtis, kick us off. Who's played well in the first 45 from a Town perspective?
Walton.
Christian Walton. Okay.
Yeah, I'll give him the plaudits, even though it's very hard to choose. I think it's been as poor of a half as I can remember. Yeah, I wouldn't really know if that well. Wouldn't really know.
Okay, all right. So you've gone for Walton. Ben, who else from your perspective has been playing well in that first half?
I have to go for Walton. He took the words right out of my mouth. He's the only reason we're not probably 3-0 down right now, especially that save at the end on his near post. Really, oh, dearie me. Walton.
Is that it? So that's literally it. The only player that's come out of that first half. There's a shout in the chat from Simon Harris for Wolfenden. How is Wolfenden performed for you, Curtis, in that back four? I believe it is today currently.
Yeah, he certainly looks the more steady one out of him and Edmondson, which will probably come as a surprise to most people when you hear that. But yeah, I think Edmondson. I don't know in the last few games and watching today's game, he just seems a bit too relaxed on the ball, and then he's not releasing the ball when he should, and he's trying to go forward with the ball when really he should just be staying back a bit and doing his job as a defender. I don't need him running onto midfield. I need him to stay back. Out of the two, he probably has been the better player as Wolfenden, but I don't really think anyone in that half, bar the keeper, comes out with any saving graces. To be honest, I don't think any of them do. Ben,
the opening goal. Talk me through it from a Town perspective, because from what I can understand, Edmondson's been caught on the ball. It's then gone out to the Wednesday right, the Town left. Thompson's not stopped the cross. First rule's a fullback, and Wes Burns is caught ball watching halfway at the football pitch.
Yeah, I mean, you just named it. 3 things: stop the cross, don't duck your header. And you got a man running in free. It was just a calamity of errors all the way through. I just think it was a collective ball watching exercise, and it was a good goal from a very tight angle. I don't think there's much Walton could have done about it at all. Any other game that goes straight to the keeper, or he uses his foot to whack it out. It was just collective ball watching, and I think it's pretty representative of what's kind of happened in the whole of the first half. So it was poor. I was glad it happened within 5 minutes, because if you're going to get a goal conceded, have 85 to get it back.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
rather than fire us on, it's kind of seemed to knock the wind out of ourselves a little bit.
Talking of wind and sails, do you think the wind played a factor at all in that first half there, Kurt?
No. Because I think both teams have got to contend with it, haven't they? But both teams have got to contend with it whirling round. Hillsborough there, so I don't think it gives us any more an advantage as it would with Wednesday. I think you've both got to contend with the weather. It's typical English weather come this time of year, and it happens. But I don't know. I think a lot of the issues we are creating, we're making ourselves. We're holding onto the ball too much. I mean, these fancy flicks against a team that are one of the stronger oppositions in this league, I don't think work. I think that Selena chance where he's gone running in, I thought that was an absolute waste of a shot. He could have cut inside a bit more, tried to go for a bit of placement rather than power. And that realistically is our one and only chance that we really had on goal, apart from the looping header which the keeper saved on his line. I think it's I don't know. I think that half there's a lot to improve on. But that being said, I'm not saying we can't win today. I'm not saying we can't win.
All right. One player that's played poorly, then this should be a bit easy. You've got 10 players to choose from, Ben. Who are you going for?
How long we got left? El Mazzuni, and I hate to say that, I thought this would be a really good game for El Mazzuni. He's been absolutely woeful today. The balls have gone through him. It can't stick to him. They're coming away from him. Because the midfield is collectively being completely overrun, like some invading force going through a castle wall. He's in the middle of it, so he probably looks worse than perhaps what he's done this first 45. But for me, I've just noticed him. There's too many players not off the game. I'm selecting him when there's 10 others I could choose. But
That's
for him,
fine.
for me, because it's all gone through the midfield, it has to be him for me.
Do you feel the 4-2-3? Because I do think it's a 4-2-3-1. Do you think that's playing a factor in the midfield too, Ben? Do you think that's hurting Elmis and Edmondson a little bit?
Maybe.
Do you actually that's an excuse?
The lack of width. I mean, he's got to change it in the second half. You have to have width because it's not working, going narrow right through the middle of the bloody pitch. But even going to the wings, I mean, Wes Burns is not having a good game, but you could argue he's being marked very tightly, which he is, because they've obviously done their homework on him. But our midfield is getting absolutely mullered today. So we have to change formation. It probably more so than changing the personnel. I think the personnel is there. I think the formation's just not working. So I'm expecting, now we're going to see how good McKenna is. It's all very good saying he's fantastic when we're winning. Now you're going to see what his brain's all about. So really interesting second half, LB. But get some bloody width. Get some width. Need width.
Okay. So is that a change that you would make then, Ben? Is it Elmis? Would you look to bring out Elmis off?
Yes, I would. But again, it's unfair to just single him out because he's been part of a collective failure of midfield. But I think because he's right in the middle, he probably stands out just because of where he is rather than who he is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no. Yeah, perfect sense.
I mean, Christ, you've got Harper, but I would argue Harper's not quite done enough for me. But then again, I haven't seen him. Wrong formation on the wrong day against the wrong team, and the players don't look comfortable in that formation at all. And up front again, Bon not doing anything for me.
Okay, Kurt, one player that's not played well for yourself in that second half, not called Walton or El Mizani.
I think Edmondson.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just been too relaxed on the ball, and I found myself often points in that half worrying when he did get on the ball and he's trying to turn his opponent or run with the ball. Just release the ball, mate. I don't need you. I don't need you running. I don't need you running to the halfway line at this point. I just need you releasing that ball to someone else.
Yeah.
And again, and the only reason why I'm giving it Edmondson is because we all have high expectations for him. So and he has set his own standards high. He set his own standards high. So I'm judging him by those high standards. And I do think this is one of the poorer games that I've watched him in. In my opinion, I think the three subs you make in the second half now or you put a Luco.
Yeah.
You put a Luco, you put Harper, and I even think you put Norwood on. And I think you actually go. I think you go 4-4-2 in the second half. I think you go 4-4-2.
Okay, so you go 4-4-2. What would you be looking to go to, Ben?
I totally agree with that, but we tend to have very similar views, Curtis and I. 4-4-2, have your flat back four, have your four in midfield, and the ability to actually have two running wingers and actually pass out to them, and have two up front. I mean, Bond looks isolated. He's kind of hovering on that left wing, cutting inwards, almost playing like a Burns role. I saw a lot of that first half. So I want to see Bond in the middle. But again, you need the service. So 4-4-2 or even 4-4-1-1. But again, it's going to come from the wings today. If we score, I guarantee it will come from the wings. There's a slight vulnerability there, obviously, with them. So we'll see.
Okay, lots of comments in the chat saying they'll take a draw at this point, which, of course, being a goal down at half time, you absolutely would. But what's the score going to be come 45 minutes from now? Mr. Yates, kick me off with that one.
If I get those subs the way I want them, I'll go 2-1.
Okay, Ben.
If we stay like we are, we're not going to win. If we get the subs, yes. If we get the formation right, I can't see us winning. I can't. So I'll say 1-1 as a safe bet, but 2-1 because I love my team.
All right, we'll close with a great comment from the Durrants. This is the time McKenna earns that money.
Absolutely.
Let's pray for a miracle. We're back at full time. The moment of full time will goes Facebook and YouTube, the full-time fans react show where we hand it over to you. A live link appears and you can have your say. Too many changes, not enough changes, whatever it might be, it's your platform to have your say. So join us in 45 minutes time where hopefully we have that miracle that the Durrants have asked for. See you then.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but